Hello, my beautiful people. Hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to more CS News. One of the most beautiful things I've seen these last few days. I love to share these plays to kick off the episodes. I feel like it's a nice way to get into all the stories, which we will be talking about. But one of the coolest things and one of the best BMs that I've seen in a long time happened recently with a North American player known as Stanislaw. If you didn't know this, he was actually removed from Wildcard. Now he's back on Wildcard, and Wildcard is totally fine, okay? They're doing totally fine. So too is Stanis, because he did this on Trotta's stream. If you guys want to check out Trotta, he's amazing. And so was this play. You just got to watch it for yourself. Yes, this is my cute little notebook where I keep all my notes about CS and stuff. All right, I realized I left it on the table.
As well as Stan. Drop on a cat, just gonna fake, drop it down. Stan's holding an HE. Stan doesn't care about the fight.
Like, the amount of disrespect, but you kind of respect it, is just insane. And you only see that in North American Counter-Strike. Him doing that versus a team known as Nocturnal. It was just nice to see a good laugh out of NACS. And BMs are one of my favorite things to cover. But not something that's actually favorable to cover is going to be Ropz. He made the news this past week, something I had to talk about, as he unfortunately was in a car accident, I believe, while on the track. If you guys don't know Ropz, somehow his story, of course, winning over with Vitality, making a good amount of money even before Vitality in this space, known for his Porsche. All right, we share the pictures before of him and his Porsche and his license plate. Unfortunately, it wasn't an accident. He is A-okay. That is all that matters. And he took to social media later to post about this and the incident itself, saying, "Hey people, had a bad crash yesterday at the track. Crap happens. Sometimes it ends up like that. What matters is nothing happened to me. I'm as good as I stepped in the car beforehand. Shocked for now and disappointed about it, but nothing major. We take the L and we move forward." Of course, some pictures at surface as well, so hopefully in a controlled environment. And yes, most importantly, he is okay. No one else seemingly involved, and if they were, they are A-okay. So yeah, very scary situation. I'm sure it's kind of one of those situations where life comes at you fast. You can drive nice and fast cars, but there's always a danger when you're driving cars like that. Kind of cool little side note, if you guys are fans of not just CS, but other games out there like Call of Duty, tons of replies out there to Ropz wishing him well and glad that he is safe and doing okay. One of them is a COD World Champion, that being Crim6, who recently, not really recently, but he retired from Call of Duty and went on to try and actually pursue professional race car driving, has achieved some success there in the lower tiers of racing, and he was even responding. So that'd be a cool little maybe future collaboration if we ever see that. That'd be a crossing of my world. So wanted to give a quick shout to that. But most importantly, Ropz is safe and he is okay after the car accident. And the big news does continue, guys, especially for, I feel like I cracked this episode open with North American Counter-Strike, which you guys might not care about. You might not also care about Danish Counter-Strike. It's been the ups and downs of that scene. A couple of those organizations now no longer with us. The one that remains, that we talked about earlier this year, that could be going bankrupt, or at the very least could be being sold, and I think it was what 3 to 4 million euros for the entire organization, and we were very surprised by that price. A company that once was valued like 10x that at least back in the peak of the esports bubble. It is Astralis now officially being sold to a different investor group. So their time has come. It is actually being sold to a local, I believe, Danish investor group known as Fusion Esports Group, and you'll recognize some of these names, as Jacob Lund was one of the co-founders of Astralis. He's a part of this group, and we also have Jonas Gunderson, the former COO of NIP and a former professional Counter-Strike player himself, are both members of this group that has now led to purchasing or acquiring the Astralis brand. So I guess in the esports cycle, you know, we go up, we go down, you buy back the brand you helped found for maybe a lesser price. It's a little confusing, but yes, one of the former co-founders of Astralis now retains ownership of the new Astralis. What this means for the future of this lineup, we do not know. And when it comes to how long they can retain these players and afford these players, and again, the future of this brand, what once was the pinnacle, not just of Danish Counter-Strike, but CS in general at their peak, where their future will be, we don't know. Like, what this investor group can afford and what they will do. We'll see, because now they have Stalin, and his personal reasons why he has taken a step back from the starting roster. Magisk has now returned, and meanwhile, the entire brand now being acquired by a different group. It's a lot to go through. I'm sure it's not easy, and navigating this esports world, and specifically in Counter-Strike, it is so expensive. A lot is up in the air, not just for Astralis, but other teams. We're going through a bit more of an esports winter, and CS is one of the more difficult sports to be in. So we'll see what Astralis can do. Wishing them nothing but the best of luck, okay? Because what was it, Blast London? There were more Americans than Danes, and Swedes, I think. Just saying. Not to piss anyone off. That would suck. And another story out there pissing a lot of people off. And let's just talk about this one for a second, all right? One of the newest additions to MIBR. Haven't heard much about MIBR in a while. It seems like the dominance of the Brazilian scene has been all focused, all eyes on Furia, and then Legacy, and then you can name some others probably before you name MIBR. As of late, it is actually Klim, one of their newer additions, I believe actually on loan with the lineup, who is now under fire because one of the first matches he plays under the Made in Brazil banner is using a derogatory term / slur towards, I believe, a Brazilian player, which did not look good. If you guys don't know this term, I'm about to, say this. The term is monkey, and when used in certain context and with certain connotation, it is a slur. It's a derogatory term when used towards someone, a person of color, and in Brazilian culture, it is seen that way. I don't know if you guys are old enough to realize this. I don't know about Klim and his background, if he realized that, but I have learned over the last 10 years in esports that there are terms and words you don't say, especially to certain players from certain regions, and this is definitely one of them. I know some of you internet folk might not be offended by that, and that is a-okay, but in Brazilian culture, and the way this term was used, it is certainly seen as offensive. That's how I stand on this, and you guys can call me soft, but there's a reason why MIBR has now had to issue an apology around this player, and there's a reason why the player himself has now also issued said apology, and why tons of fans took offense to this, because the way he used it, in my opinion, we're going to get to his response, the way he used it in the server, it looked bad. It looked like he knew what he meant. That's just how I perceived it. I hope that's not the case, and that's what he claims, as he later apologized on socials. As he said, and this is a bit of a weird one because he just said the same three things again, so his thread is kind of confusing. So I'll read the first three statements, and then he just posted the same three statements again in reply. So I don't know if that was a mistake on his end, stating, during a match, I used a word that, rightly, generated a strong reaction. I want to be completely transparent about what happened. In the heat of a trash talk exchange, I responded with a term that I now know has a historical significance in Brazil. While in my culture, this word is often used as a generic insult, like burro, I understand that its impact here is completely unacceptable. There was no racist intent on my part, and I apologize to anyone I offended. I recognize that intention does not erase the effect of the words, and I understand the gravity of what was said. In addition to the measures my organization is taking, I am personally committed to educating myself about Brazilian culture and history. And that is MIBR apologizing on his behalf for his behavior and also putting him through some literacy teaching about Brazilian culture and the use of said words. And so I'm gonna choose to believe the player and hope that he did not understand how significant that was. But yeah, welcome to Brazil. When you're playing for a Brazilian team of this note and playing against Brazilian players, you kind of got to know the use of words that are not allowed towards those players of those regions. You probably should know better, and if you didn't, you sure do now. So that's the MIBR controversy. You get there, Klim, and you're thrown to the wolves. And for rightful reason, he has apologized. So hopefully we can move past this. And yeah, we'll see what's next for Klim with MIBR. I mean, hey, it's not great that MIBR is back in the news for these reasons, but we're talking about MIBR again because we haven't been able to do that for a long time. So hopefully onwards and upwards for them. And very lastly, for all of you guys, a quick little topic. I probably want to dive into this more for maybe a future video for short on topics. I just have a quick question for all of you guys as we approach our next upcoming CS events out there. We're coming off Blast London and of course a G2 upset over Vitality and one of the best of fives, most thrilling best of fives we have seen in some time. Do you think the pressure will now be mounted against G2, or do you think they can get it done again? We are entering a time in CS where there are so many teams in contention to win titles. I can't, it's not even an argument. We are in a better time for CS competitively than we have been all year long. I don't think you can disagree with that. You know, the first half of this year, Vitality, then a Vitality major? Is that 7 in a row, whatever it was? Now you have so many teams in contention. Mongols can win it and already have. Spirit have won it and they can again, maybe. Maus are still in contention. Vitality are still in contention. G2 have now done it, and there's certainly a couple teams that can be thrown in there. Falcons have a stabbing chance any way you put it. So we are in such a competitive time of CS. It's going to be so fun to watch. Can G2 do it again before the year closes? That's my question to all of you guys. But until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you back here sometime soon with more CS news. Bye-bye.